Good evening, I'm AJ Lagoe. Tonight in this 8 News special report, the trail of the con, we expose a local minister's slide from praying for the community to praying on it.
Ask anyone who's met him, and you'll be told that Reverend Joseph Yancey has a smooth way with words.
He was a good preacher, a good minister. I mean, he could deliver excellent sermons.
But ask anyone who's had the misfortune of doing business with him.
It turned into a nightmare.
And you'll find a line of former Joe Yancey believers.
I just wonder how he got so many of us to believe.
Who claim when it comes to commandment number 8,
this crime was deliberate, diabolical.
The Reverend has not always practiced what he preached.
Sorry. Take your time.
It was in April of 2013 we first met Joe Yancey.
Mr. Yancey, AJ Lagoe from Channel 8 News. I'd like to ask you about this pardon you were trying to get for Phil Hamilton's family. What can you tell me about that?
At the time, we were working on a story about Yancey's claims he could get a pardon signed by President Obama for a former Virginia delegate serving federal time.
That is how it all got started.
The family of former delegate Phil Hamilton had been desperate for someone to review his case. The one-time prominent Republican was convicted of using his position in the General Assembly to get a bill passed to create a job for himself. His ex-wife and children believe he's innocent.
I was trying to help my children get their father back.
Roxanne Burnett tells us she met Reverend Yancey through a mutual friend.
He dropped names of powerful people that were interested in doing the right thing and having this case looked at again.
Among the names dropped, Delegate Joe Morrissey and his law partner, well-known political analyst Paul Goldman.
They've used our name.
Roxanne showed us a signed contract that appears to say Yancey, along with Goldman and Morrissey's law firm, were working on Phil's case.
Were you in any way working on getting a presidential pardon for Phil Hamilton, Mr. Yancey?
No, had nothing to do with it at all.
You thought you were paying Joe Morrissey and Paul Goldman's law firm for legal services?
Yes, absolutely.
You found out later you weren't?
No, the document was fraudulent.
Banking records show Yancey received numerous payments for the alleged legal services.
We're talking thousands of dollars.
Yes.
More than 20.
Yes.
Roxanne says Yancey told her he and all the people working to free Hamilton met with Vice President Joe Biden during his visit to the area to tout gun control. And a deal was hashed out.
At one point, he told you he had a pardon in hand from President Obama.
He did.
The family says that's when demands for more money began. Skepticism rising, they began researching Reverend Yancey online and found out he has a criminal past. Louisa County court records show Yancey's a convicted felon, busted for grand larceny for selling a house he didn't own, and also contracting without a license. That's when we were asked to investigate. As we were tracking down Mr. Yancey.
If you're the man you claim to be, why won't you talk with us?
York County also began searching for him. They charged him with 6 counts of obtaining money by false pretenses. There was no presidential pardon.
Everything he was saying was a lie.
There were no lawyers working the case.
I can't wait to tell the courts when this matter goes up that we were doing nothing and it was all a scam.
And the money was just gone.
Someone's had thousands, tens of thousands of dollars using my name, so that can make you a little angry.
Little did anyone know at the time, but those tens of thousands of dollars paid to Yancey in the fake pardon case were just a drop in the bucket.
Looking at some of these court records, it appears you're out hundreds of thousands of dollars?
Almost close to $1 million. Close to $1 million.
When we come back, defrauded car dealerships, ripped off real estate clients and business partners. On the trail of the con, we find Reverend Yancey's now facing criminal charges all across the Commonwealth. Stay with us. Welcome back to this 8 News special report. We've introduced you to Reverend Joe Yancey and exposed a scheme he's accused of running to scam the family of an imprisoned former Virginia delegate out of a lot of money in exchange for a pardon from President Obama. But the more we dug into Joe Yancey's past, the more shady and fraudulent deals we uncovered on the trail of the con.
I'm still here in this office at 8 o'clock every morning.
At age 92, you can still find John Thomason hard at work.
Oh, yes, yes. Oh, yes.
running his funeral home business that's been burying Louisa County's African-American community for the past 6 decades.
It turned out so I can't retire. I got to continue to work.
That's because a major chunk of his retirement money went into real estate ventures.
You thought you'd purchase property?
Yes,
Thomason had gone into business with a man he thought he could trust.
I trusted Joe Yancey 100%.
His real estate agent and partner, a local minister named Joe Yancey.
He always came up with such good proposals how he's going to flip something. We're going to make so much money out of this and how we're going to split the money and everything.
Banking records we obtained show Thomason wrote Yancey hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of checks. Civil court records show much of that money just vanished.
He wasn't really purchasing anything.
Thomason wrote Yancey this check for $90,000 to buy this property on Zion Road in Troy. He wrote Yancey numerous other checks for thousands of dollars for what he thought were mortgage payments. But Yancey had never actually bought the property.
What was the truth of the matter?
The truth of the matter was, as it turned out, he didn't have any title to it.
This signed contract shows Thomason and Yancey agreed to purchase property in Powhatan together. Property, court records would later show, does not even exist and was based off altered documents for surveying services.
So he was showing you records. Were they real?
They weren't real, no.
In Richmond, Yancey was given money to buy property at 1506 Belmont Road, an address that does not even exist.
That wasn't in the property at the location.
Circuit Court Judge Timothy Sanner ruled there was clear and convincing evidence that Joe Yancey committed actual fraud against Mr. Thomason. But Reverend Yancey didn't want to discuss it when we questioned him.
What happened to the hundreds of thousands of dollars missing in Louisa?
What are you talking about?
Civil case. The judge just found you liable for hundreds of thousands of dollars of fraud. What happened to all that money?
Hey, listen, I don't have no comment. So you can go ahead, report whatever you want, AJ. No comment.
The judge ruled there was no doubt Yancey committed fraud to the tune of nearly $295,000. Thomason claims it's closer to $1 million, but admits his record keeping wasn't great, and because of his trust of Yancey, many deals were done on a handshake.
Because I trusted him. I really trusted that Joe Yancey. Why I did it, I don't know.
Thomason is not alone when it comes to trusting Joe Yancey.
The lady thought she owned this school here?
That's correct.
Never got bought?
Never got purchased. It's still in the original name.
South Hill detective Nelson Watson has been investigating one of Yancey's real estate deals in his town. He tells us his victim thought she was purchasing this old school and a neighboring home. Watson says Yancey received nearly $100,000, including this check for $19,500. But just like in the Thomason case, no land was actually purchased.
It was very convincing to her until in the end she didn't receive anything.
A Henrico County grand jury has also indicted Yancey for stealing money in a land scheme. And Spotsylvania County has charged him for writing a bad check on a closed account to buy a car from this dealership. The sheriff's department tells us the car is still listed as stolen, which brings us to a bizarre twist in our investigation. Every time we caught up with Joe Yancey, he got into a different vehicle.
You're facing charges up and down the Commonwealth.
That's why I hired attorneys.
While he has criminal charges pending in 4 counties and is under investigation in at least one other, the under fire reverend admits no guilt.
You have nothing to say to defend yourself.
There's nothing at all to say to you in the courtroom.
Do you think you're going to be exonerated in these cases?
Every day.
Every day, John Thomason walks into his office with the slow gait of a man who's seen 92 years worth of life and death, knowing he'll likely never retire before he becomes his own client.
I just lost out everything.
It's no ride off into the sunset for Reverend Yancey. Just yesterday, a judge in York County revoked his bond. He's behind bars tonight. Yancey has 4 fraud-related trials scheduled to begin this summer. Well, a judge has already ruled Yancey defrauded Mr. Thomason out of hundreds of thousands of dollars. So far, not 1 penny has been repaid. On the trail of the con, I'm AJ Lagoe. Thank you so much for joining us for this 8 News special report.